In the fourth act, the events move quickly. The two scenes of this act are set in the Duchess's chambers. Bossola tells the Duke that the Duchess is enduring her imprisonment nobly. Ferdinand comes to meet his sister. Outwardly, he says that he has come to get reconciled to her. However, his real purpose is to torture her mentally so that she is driven to despair. So, Ferdinand arranges for a series of horrors. He visits the Duchess in a darkened room because he has vowed never to see her again. He gives her a dead man's hand and then shows her the dead bodies of her husband and her children. Although, in reality, these are waxen images and not real dead bodies. The Duke's cruelties are not yet over, however. In order to further subject her to torture, 8 madmen are let loose upon her who scream at her. The Duchess is driven to the brink of madness by these relentless torments. The atmosphere grows increasingly oppressive as the horrors continue to unfold. The Duke's malevolence knows no bounds, and the Duchess's suffering is far from over. Instead of rewarding Bossola, he blames him for the murders. Now, Bossola regrets having murdered the Duchess and resolves to take some drastic action against the Duke. Acte vive. There are 5 scenes in the 5th act. The action in this act is also rapid. The Cardinal has seized all the property of the Duchess and Antonio. Antonio decides to visit the Cardinal and attempt a reconciliation. Ferdinand's madness has increased. He imagines himself to be a wolf. He has been seen digging up bodies in the cemetery and carrying a man's leg over his shoulder. Bossola meets the Cardinal, who pretends that he does not know that the Duchess is dead, so that he will not seem to have been involved in the murder. But Bossola does not believe him and persuades Julia to find out the truth. She tells Bossola that the Cardinal was as responsible for the Duchess's murder as the Duke. The Cardinal confesses to Julia that he has had his sister killed, but then he immediately kills Julia with a poisoned book. The Cardinal hires Bossola for the murder of Antonio, though Bossola inwardly resolves to save Antonio's life. Bossola decides to put an end to the lives of both the Duke and the Cardinal. Outside the Cardinal's home, Antonio and Delio speak with a ghostly echo that comes from the Duchess's grave. As Antonio finds the voice of the echo very like his wife's voice, the scene brings his wife vividly to our minds. Bossola decides to protect Antonio from harm, but in the darkness he mistakes him for the Cardinal and accidentally kills him with his sword. Antonio's last words underline the theme of the corruption of courts. And let my son fly the courts of princes. Before killing the Cardinal, Bossola kills his servant so that he cannot come to his master's help. Then he fatally stabs the Cardinal. Ferdinand rushes in his madness and stabs both Bossola and the Cardinal. Bossola stabs Ferdinand. As they all lie dead, Delio enters with Antonio's son and calls for a unified effort to crown the boy as the new Duke.